My chosen one, something is about to shift in your life, and you were not brought here by accident. This moment, this very second, is not ordinary. There is a reason your spirit feels stirred, a reason your heart is beating just a little differently as you listen. Because what I am about to reveal to you is not just a message, it is an invitation. And not just any invitation, but one sent under divine authority, marked by heaven itself for a specific time, July 10th. Yes, July 10th is not just another day on the calendar. It is a gateway. A moment that has been prepared long before you even realized the battles you were facing. And now, Archangel Michael stands at the edge of this moment, calling you, not loudly, not forcefully, but with a presence so powerful that your soul cannot ignore it. There are things happening around you that you cannot see. Movements in the spiritual realm. Shifts that are aligning in your favor, even though your circumstances may seem uncertain. You may have felt overwhelmed lately, a strange heaviness, an unexplainable tension, whispers of fear that seem to come out of nowhere. And you wondered, why now? Why does it feel like everything is pressing against me at once? Listen carefully, this is not random. The pressure you feel is not meant to break you. It is revealing that something sacred is about to unfold. Because when heaven prepares to move, the enemy begins to whisper louder. But here is what they don't want you to realize. Their whispers only grow louder when they know they are losing their hold over you. And this is where the invitation changes everything. Archangel Michael is not calling you into another battle. He is calling you out of it. He is inviting you into a place so powerful, so protected, that fear itself cannot survive there. A place described as the shadow of the Almighty. Not a distant ideal, not a poetic phrase, but a real, living refuge where your soul can finally breathe again. Can you feel it? That gentle pull, that quiet sense that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to carry this weight anymore. That maybe the fear that has been following you does not belong to you. That maybe there is a covering waiting for you, a divine shelter where no darkness can enter. But here is the urgency. This invitation is time-sensitive. July 10th marks a spiritual opening, a moment where stepping into this refuge becomes easier, clearer, and more powerful than ever before. It is as if heaven itself is leaning closer, extending its hand, saying, "Come now. Wesley here. You are safe." And yet, not everyone will recognize this call. Many will scroll past it. Many will ignore it. Many will choose to stay in the noise, in the fear, in the uncertainty. But you stop it. You listened. And that alone reveals something extraordinary about you. You are being guided. So do not dismiss this feeling. Do not push away this moment. Because what awaits you in the shadow of the Almighty is not just protection. It is transformation. It is peace that does not depend on circumstances. It is a silence so deep that every whisper of fear is completely drowned out. And this is only the beginning of what is about to be revealed to you. There is something happening around you that your physical eyes cannot fully see, yet your spirit has already begun to sense it. You may have noticed it in quiet moments, when everything seems still on the outside, yet inside your mind, a storm begins to rise. Thoughts that do not feel like your own. Sudden waves of doubt. A feeling of uneasiness that arrives without warning. And you ask yourself, where is this coming from? Understand this clearly, not every thought that enters your mind belongs to you. There is a hidden battle that takes place beyond what you can touch or hear, a silent war that does not use weapons of flesh but whispers into your emotions, your confidence, your peace. The enemy does not always come with chaos and noise. Often, it comes quietly, planting small seeds, fear, worry, insecurity, hoping they will grow unnoticed until they begin to control how you feel and how you respond to your life. This is why the heaviness feels so confusing, because it does not always look like an attack. It feels like stress. It feels like overthinking. It feels like something is wrong with you. But in truth, it is something trying to pull you away from the place where you are meant to stand, under divine protection. And here is what makes this battle even more subtle. It tries to convince you that you are alone in it. It tells you that no one understands, that you must figure it out by yourself, that the fear you feel is justified and permanent. But that is the greatest deception of all, because even in your most overwhelming moments, you have never been unprotected. You have never been without help. Right now, even as you are listening, there is a presence surrounding you that you cannot see, but it has never left. Archangel Michael stands as a protector, not at a distance, but near, closer than your fears, closer than your doubts. And yet, the enemy's strategy is to keep your focus on the noise instead of the protection. Think about this. Why do the whispers become louder when you are about to step into something greater? Why does fear increase right before a breakthrough? It is because the enemy recognizes what is ahead of you, even when you do not fully see it yet. They know that something is shifting in your favor. They know that July 10th is not just a date, but a turning point. And so, the whispers intensify, trying to distract you, to exhaust you, to make you step back instead of stepping forward into the refuge that is being opened to you. But here is the truth that changes everything. The battle you feel is not a sign of defeat. It is evidence that you are being positioned for protection. Because if you were truly lost, there would be no resistance. If there was nothing ahead for you, there would be no need for distraction. The very fact that you feel this tension means that something valuable is being guarded within you, something the enemy cannot afford to let you fully realize. And this is why the invitation matters so deeply. You are not being asked to fight harder. You are not being told to figure everything out. Instead, you are being called to step into a place where the battle no longer has access to you. A place where the whispers lose their power, not because they stop immediately, but because they are no longer able to reach your spirit. The shadow of the Almighty is not just a place of comfort, it is a place of separation, a boundary where fear cannot cross, where confusion cannot survive, where the noise is silenced by something far greater. But to enter it, you must recognize what is truly happening around you. This is not just stress. This is not just your imagination. This is a spiritual moment, and you are standing right in the middle of it. And the question is, will you continue to listen to the whispers, or will you respond to the invitation that is calling you into peace? There is a reason this moment feels different, and it is not just because of what you are hearing. It is because of what is being activated around you. July 10th carries a weight in the spiritual realm that cannot be explained by ordinary understanding. It is not simply a date that passes like any other. It is an appointed time, a moment that has been marked and set apart long before you ever arrived here. You may be wondering why this day. What makes it so significant? And the answer is deeper than anything you have been told before. There are moments in time when heaven aligns in a way that opens doors that are not always accessible. Moments where the distance between your struggle and your breakthrough becomes thinner. Moments where what once felt difficult suddenly becomes possible. July 10th is one of those moments. It is a day where the invitation to step into the shadow of the Almighty becomes stronger, clearer, and more urgent than before. Not because God was ever distant from you, but because your awareness of His presence is about to increase in a powerful way. Think about the journey you have been on recently. The pressure, the confusion, the weight you have been carrying. It was not without purpose. It has been preparing you, positioning you for this exact moment. Because stepping into divine protection is not just about escaping fear, it is about recognizing your place within a greater plan. And here is something that may surprise you: not everyone will feel this shift. Many will move through July 10th without noticing anything unusual. They will go about their day, unaware that a door was opened, unaware that an invitation was extended. But you are different. The fact that you are here, listening to this message, means that your spirit has already begun to respond. You were meant to recognize this. And this is where Archangel Michael's role becomes even more powerful. He is not only a protector in times of danger, but also a guide in moments of transition. When something new is being released, when a shift is about to take place, his presence becomes more active, more intentional. He stands at the threshold of this moment, not blocking your way, but guarding the entrance into what is being opened to you, ensuring that what enters with you into this new place is aligned with peace, not fear. But here is the key: stepping into this moment requires a choice. Not a complicated one, not a difficult one, but a conscious decision to trust what is being offered to you, even if you do not fully understand it yet. Because the mind will try to question it. The mind will try to analyze and make sense of something that is meant to be experienced, not dissected. And this is where many miss it. They overthink. They hesitate. They allow the whispers to create doubt just long enough for the moment to pass unnoticed. But you are being warned ahead of time, so that does not happen to you. When July 10th arrives, do not treat it like an ordinary day. Do not rush through it. Do not allow distractions to pull you away from what your spirit is trying to receive. There is a stillness waiting for you in that day. A quiet opening where you will feel something shift inside you, a release, a lifting, a peace that does not come from your circumstances but from something far greater. And when that moment comes, do not resist it. Lean into it. Because what is being activated is not temporary. It is a fleeting emotion. It is the beginning of a new level of protection, a deeper sense of rest, a stronger awareness that you are not alone and never have been. This is your moment to step out of the noise and into something sacred. This is your moment to respond to the invitation. Type "I receive divine timing" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 741 has just been released over your life, activating alignment, protection, and supernatural peace. And as you stand at this threshold, hear this clearly: what you choose in this moment does not only affect you. There are others who are meant to find the same refuge, who are searching for the same peace, who are waiting for the same confirmation. When you sow into this mission, you are not giving to a platform. You are releasing light into places where darkness has held on for too long. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not a distant promise. It is God speaking directly into your present moment. If you feel the pull in your spirit, this is your confirmation. I am choosing to help this message reach someone who is still lost in fear. Do not delay what heaven is prompting you to do. There is a link in the description and a way to give through PayPal, even a QR code placed for you as a point of action. As you give, you are planting a seed that will return as peace, protection, and divine covering over your life. Step into this act of obedience now. There is a depth to the phrase "the shadow of the Almighty" that many have heard, but very few have truly understood. It is not just a comforting expression meant to calm your fears. It is a real spiritual position, a place of covering that exists beyond what your physical senses can grasp. And right now, you are being invited to step into it in a way you never have before. Imagine standing under a shadow. Not a shadow of darkness, but a shadow created by something so Arabic thought powerful, so Arabic thought present, that it blocks everything harmful from reaching you. That is what this shadow represents. It is not the absence of light, it is the evidence of God's nearness. Because a shadow can only exist when something Arabic thought greater is close enough to cover you. This means that when you dwell in the shadow of the Almighty, you are not distant from Him. You are positioned so close that His presence becomes your protection. But here is where many misunderstand this truth. They believe that entering this place requires perfection. They think they must fix everything in their life, remove every flaw, silence every doubt before they can come close. But that is not how this works. The shadow is not a reward for being perfect. It is a refuge for those who are willing to come as they are. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to understand every detail of what you are going through. You simply need to respond to the invitation. Because the power of this place is not based on your strength, it is based on His covering. And once you begin to step into this place, something begins to shift inside you. The noise that once felt overwhelming starts to fade. The thoughts that once circled endlessly begin to lose their grip. It is not that your external situation changes instantly, but your internal state becomes anchored in something unshakable. You begin to feel a calm that does not make sense, a peace that cannot be explained by logic, and that is how you know you are entering the shadow. Because this peace does not come from circumstances, it comes from proximity. Now listen carefully, because this is important. Dwelling in the shadow is not a one-time action. It is a choice that you make again and again. A decision to remain under that covering even when the world around you feels uncertain. There will be moments when fear tries to pull you out of it. Moments when distractions try to draw your attention away. But the shadow does not move, you do. And this is why awareness is so powerful. When you recognize that you have stepped out of that place of peace, you also realize that you can step back in. Instantly. Without delay. Without permission from anything or anyone. Because the shadow of the Almighty is always available. It does not open and close like a door that depends on time. It remains constant, waiting for you to return to it. And as July 10th approaches, this invitation becomes even more significant. It is not just about understanding this truth. It is about experiencing it at a deeper level than ever before. You are being called to dwell, not visit. To remain, not just pass through. Because there is a difference between knowing about the shadow and living within it. When you live within it, fear no longer dictates your decisions. Anxiety no longer controls your thoughts. The whispers of the enemy may still attempt to reach you, but they cannot penetrate the covering you are under. They become distant, powerless, unable to influence what is protected. And this is where your strength truly comes from. Not from resisting every negative thought, not from fighting every feeling, but from positioning yourself in a place where those things cannot touch you in the same way anymore. This is the gift that is being offered to you. A place of rest, a place of safety, a place where you are not constantly defending yourself, but simply existing under divine protection. So as you continue to listen, do not just hear these words. Begin to picture yourself there, under that shadow, hovering, safe, untouched by fear. Because the more real this becomes in your spirit, the easier it will be for you to step fully into it when the moment arrives. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where fear begins to lose its authority, and that moment is closer than you think. You have lived long enough feeling its presence, those sudden waves of worry, the tightness in your chest when uncertainty rises, the quiet voice that tells you something might go wrong even when nothing has happened yet. It has followed you, shaped your reactions, and at times made you hesitate when you were meant to move forward. But what if I told you that fear is not as powerful as it has made itself appear? What if the strength it seems to have over you is actually dependent on distance? Distance from the very place you are now being invited into. Because fear cannot survive in the presence of the Almighty. It may try to linger at the edges. It may attempt to whisper from afar. But it cannot exist in the same space where divine peace fully takes over. And this is not just a comforting idea. It is a spiritual truth that becomes real the moment you begin to dwell under that covering. Think about light and darkness. Darkness does not fight light. It does not argue or resist. It simply disappears the moment light enters the space. Fear operates in the same way. It does not need to be battled endlessly. It only needs to be exposed to something greater than itself. And that something is already being offered to you. When you step into the shadow of the Almighty, you are not just finding shelter. You are stepping into an environment where fear has no foundation to stand on. The thoughts that once seemed overwhelming begin to lose their intensity. The scenarios your mind once created no longer feel as real or as threatening. It is not because your life suddenly becomes perfect. It is because your perspective is being transformed. You begin to see clearly. You begin to realize that many of the things you feared never had the power you gave them. You begin to understand that fear thrives in isolation, in uncertainty, in the absence of peace. But when peace enters, fear is exposed for what it truly is, temporary, unstable, and unable to remain. Now here is something important that you must not overlook. The process of fear losing its power is not always loud or dramatic. It often happens quietly, gently, almost unnoticed at first. You may find yourself reacting differently to situations that once triggered anxiety. You may notice that your thoughts slow down instead of racing. You may feel a sense of calm even when things around you have not yet changed. This is how you know the shift is taking place. It is internal before it becomes external. And as this shift continues, something even deeper begins to happen. You start to trust again. Not just in your circumstances, but in something far greater than them. You begin to feel supported, covered, guided. And that feeling replaces the need to control everything. Because fear is often rooted in the need to control outcomes. But when you truly rest under divine protection, you no longer feel the need to carry that burden. You begin to release it, piece by piece, moment by moment. And now, as July 10th approaches, this transformation is being accelerated. It is not just about reducing fear, it is about removing its influence over your life entirely. It is about stepping into a state where fear may try to knock, but it no longer has the authority to enter. And this is where many people miss the beauty of what is happening. They wait for fear to completely disappear before they believe they are protected. But the truth is, protection is already there. Peace is already available. The invitation has already been extended. You do not have to wait for fear to leave in order to step into this place. You step into this place and fear begins to leave. That is the order. That is the shift. So if you feel even the slightest sense of peace right now, even the smallest release from the tension you have been carrying, do not ignore it. That is the beginning. That is the evidence that something is already changing within you. And the more you allow yourself to remain in that peace, the stronger it becomes. Until one day, you look back and realize that what once controlled you no longer has any hold over you at all. There is something you must begin to recognize with clarity, because once you see it for what it truly is, it will no longer have the same power over you. The whispers you have been hearing, they are not truth. They are carefully placed distortions, designed to sound familiar, designed to feel personal, but in reality, they are not aligned with who you are or where you are being led. The enemy rarely speaks in obvious ways. It does not announce itself with clear warnings or visible signs. Instead, it moves quietly, blending its voice with your own thoughts, making it difficult to separate what is real from what is being planted. It sounds like your own inner voice saying, "What if this goes wrong?" It sounds like a subtle doubt saying, "You are not ready." It sounds like a quiet fear whispering, "Something bad is about to happen." And because these thoughts feel so close to you, so connected to your emotions, you begin to accept them without question. You begin to believe them, even when there is no evidence to support them. But here is the truth you must hold on to: not every voice that speaks within you deserves your agreement. There is a difference between your spirit and the whispers trying to influence it. Your spirit carries peace, clarity, and direction. The whispers carry confusion, urgency, and fear. One leads you forward. The other keeps you stuck, circling the same thoughts over and over again. And the more you listen to those whispers, the louder they become. But the moment you begin to question them, something shifts. Ask yourself, does this thought bring peace or does it create fear? Ask yourself, is this leading me closer to trust or deeper into doubt? Because truth will always bring a sense of calm, even when it challenges you. But deception will always carry tension, even when it tries to sound convincing. This is how you begin to expose what has been hidden. Now, as you become more aware, you may notice something else. The whispers tend to increase when you are getting closer to something important. When you are about to make a decision that moves you forward. When you are on the edge of stepping into something new. That is not a coincidence. It is a strategy. Because if the enemy can fill your mind with enough doubt, enough hesitation, enough fear, you will delay. You will second guess. You will pull back just enough to miss the moment that was meant for you. But this is where your power lies: in awareness. The moment you recognize the pattern, it loses its ability to control you. You begin to pause instead of react. You begin to observe instead of absorb. You begin to choose what you allow to stay and what you release. And this is where the presence of Archangel Michael becomes even more significant in your life. He does not just stand as a protector against external threats. He also strengthens your ability to discern what is trying to enter your mind and your spirit. His presence sharpens your awareness, helping you recognize the difference between truth and deception. You may not see him, but you will feel the shift. A sudden clarity where there was once confusion. A quiet strength where there was once hesitation. A sense of authority rising within you, reminding you that you do not have to accept every thought that comes your way. And as this awareness grows, the whispering begin to lose their grip. They may still try to appear, but they no longer carry the same weight. They no longer feel convincing. They begin to sound distant, almost powerless, because you are no longer agreeing with them. This is how you take back control, not by fighting every thought, but by refusing to give power to what is not true. Now listen closely, because this is important as you move toward July 10th. The closer you get to that moment, the more intentional you must become about what you allow into your mind. Because the invitation you are receiving requires clarity. It requires your ability to hear what is true without interference. Do not let the whispers distract you from what is being offered. Do not let them convince you to step back when you are being called forward. Because once you fully recognize them for what they are, they will no longer be able to lead you. And in their place, something far greater will begin to rise, a voice that does not confuse you, a presence that does not pressure you, but gently leads you into peace, into safety, into the place where you truly belong. There is a sound rising that you may not hear with your physical ears, yet your spirit is beginning to recognize it. It is not the noise of the world, not the chaos that surrounds you, not the endless stream of thoughts that once filled your mind. It is something higher, something purer, something that carries a power unlike anything you have experienced before. These are the songs of deliverance. They are not just melodies or distant echoes. They are a spiritual force, a divine expression of victory that begins to rise the moment you step out of fear and into the covering of the Almighty. And what makes them so powerful is this: they do not just comfort you, they transform the atmosphere around you. Where fear once had space to move, these songs begin to fill that space completely. You may have noticed moments in your life when, without explanation, a sudden peace came over you. A quiet reassurance that everything would be all right, even when nothing around you had changed. That was not incident. That was a glimpse of what happens when these songs begin to rise. Because deliverance is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it comes as a gentle shift, a calm that replaces anxiety, a confidence that appears where doubt once lived. And as you draw closer to July 10th, these moments will begin to increase. You will start to feel a lightness where there was once heaviness. You will notice that the things that used to disturb you no longer affect you in the same way. Conversations that once drained your energy will no longer hold the same weight. Situations that once triggered fear will begin to lose their intensity. This is not because your circumstances have changed overnight. It is because the atmosphere around you is changing. The songs of deliverance are rising, and they are doing what fear could never do. They are restoring you. Now understand this clearly: these songs are not external. They are not coming from somewhere far away. They are being awakened within you. There is a part of your spirit that has always been connected to peace, always aligned with truth, always anchored in something unshakable. But for a long time, it has been overshadowed by noise, by distraction, by the constant pressure of fear trying to dominate your attention. But now, that is changing. As you respond to the invitation, as you step into the shadow of the Almighty, that inner connection begins to strengthen. And when it does, it produces something powerful. It produces a sound of its own, a sound of trust, a sound of confidence, a sound of quiet victory that does not need to prove itself, because it knows where it stands. This is why the enemy fears this moment, because once these songs begin to rise within you, the whispers lose their influence completely. They cannot compete with something that carries truth. They cannot overpower something that is rooted in divine presence. And this is how deliverance truly happens. Not by force, not by struggle, but by replacement. Fear is replaced by peace. Confusion is replaced by clarity. Restlessness is replaced by stillness. And as this continues, you begin to realize something that changes everything. You were never meant to live under the weight you have been carrying. You were never meant to be controlled by fear. You were always meant to walk in freedom. And now, that freedom is no longer distant. It is no longer something you hope for or wait for. It is something that is beginning to unfold within you, right here, right now. So as these songs of deliverance continue to rise, do not resist them. Do not question them. Allow them to fill every space that fear once occupied. Because the more you allow this shift to happen, the more complete your transformation becomes. And soon, very soon, you will find yourself standing in a place where fear once ruled, but now there is only peace. There is a presence that has been walking with you, even in the moments when you felt completely alone. Not distant, not observing from afar, but near, closer than your fears, closer than your thoughts, closer than the very breath within you. And that presence is not passive. It is active, intentional, and deeply committed to your protection. This is where you begin to understand the role of Archangel Michael in a way that goes beyond what you may have heard before. He is not just a figure of strength in stories or a distant symbol of protection. He is a guardian assigned to moments like this, moments where transition is taking place, where something is shifting in your life, where the unseen battles begin to intensify just before they lose their hold over you. And right now, you are in one of those moments. You may not see him with your physical eyes, but there are signs of his presence that you can feel. A sudden sense of calm in the middle of confusion. A quiet strength rising within you when you expected to feel weak. A feeling that you are being held steady, even when everything around you feels uncertain. This is not your imagination. This is protection. Archangel Michael does not just stand beside you. He stands between you and what is trying to harm you. He intercepts what you cannot see. He blocks what you cannot anticipate. He strengthens what you feel is about to break. But here is something important you must understand. His presence becomes even more effective when you become aware of it. Because awareness changes how you respond. When you know you are protected, you stop reacting out of fear. When you know you are covered, you stop trying to control everything. When you know you are not alone, you stop believing the whispers that say you are. And this is where your connection to this protection deepens. It is not about calling for help from a place of desperation. It is about recognizing that help is already there, already active, already working on your behalf. Now, as July 10th draws closer, this protective presence is intensifying. Not because you were ever unprotected, but because you are stepping into a moment where your awareness of that protection is about to increase. You are moving into a space where fear will no longer feel as close, where peace will begin to feel more natural, more consistent, more real. And in that space, Archangel Michael's role becomes even clearer. He is guiding you into alignment. He is guarding the entrance into your place of rest. He is ensuring that what belongs to fear does not follow you into the covering you are about to step into. But there is something you must do. You must allow yourself to trust this protection. Not partially, not cautiously, but fully. Because hesitation creates distance, and distance makes the whispers seem louder than they truly are. But when you lean into trust, when you accept that you are being guarded, something powerful happens. You begin to relax. And in that relaxation, you begin to experience what it truly means to be safe. Not temporarily, not conditionally, but completely. So if you have been feeling a shift, if you have noticed moments where peace appears unexpectedly, if you have sensed that something is holding you steady even when you cannot explain it, do not dismiss it. That is confirmation. That is evidence that you are not walking through this alone. And as you move forward, this presence will not leave you. It will not fade. It will not weaken. It will remain constant, steady, unwavering. Because you are being protected at a level you are only beginning to understand. Type "I am protected" and guided in the comments if you feel this truth settling into your spirit. Blessing code 909 has just been activated, sealing protection, strengthening your path, and surrounding you with divine defense. And as this protection surrounds you, understand this: what is being built here is not just for you alone. There are countless others who are still lost in fear, still searching for the same covering that you are beginning to experience. When you choose to support this mission, you are not just giving. You are becoming a vessel through which light reaches them. The word declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." and this is your moment to sow into something eternal. I feel led to act now, to help carry this message where it is needed most. The opportunity is already placed before you, through the PayPal link in the description and the QR code provided for you. Do not hesitate when your spirit is being moved. As you give, you are unlocking a flow of blessing, protection, and peace that will return to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Step into this act with boldness and obedience. There is a place your soul has been longing for, even if you did not have the words to describe it. A place where the constant tension finally fades, where the need to figure everything out no longer weighs on you, where your thoughts slow down and your heart feels steady again. This place is not far from you. It is not hidden behind complicated steps or unreachable conditions. It is closer than you think, and you are being gently led into it. This is the place of rest. Not the kind of rest that comes from sleep alone, not the kind that lasts for a moment before the worries return, but a deeper rest, a spiritual stillness that settles within you and begins to change how you experience everything around you. You may have tried to find this rest before. You may have searched for it in distractions, in temporary escapes, in moments where you hoped to feel relief, only to find that the peace did not last. And that is because true rest cannot be created by external things. It can only be entered. And now, you are being shown the way. To enter this place of rest, you must first understand something that may challenge the way you have been thinking. You do not have to carry everything you have been carrying. You were never meant to hold the weight of every outcome, every possibility, every fear that tries to present itself to you. But somewhere along the way, you accepted that responsibility. You began to believe that if you did not think about everything, prepare for everything, anticipate every possible problem, something would go wrong. So you stayed alert. You stayed tense. You stayed in a constant state of readiness, even when there was no immediate danger. And over time, that became exhausting. But here's the truth that is now being revealed to you. Rest is not something you earn after everything is solved. It is something you choose, even before things are resolved. This is what makes it so powerful. Because when you choose rest, you are not ignoring your situation. You are placing it into hands that are greater than yours. You are stepping out of control and into trust. You are releasing what you cannot carry and allowing yourself to be held instead. At first, this might feel unfamiliar. Your mind may try to pull you back into overthinking. It may remind you of everything that still feels uncertain. But this is where your awareness becomes your guide. Each time you notice yourself being pulled back into that tension, gently bring yourself back to stillness. Not by force, not by frustration, but by reminding yourself, I do not have to carry this right now. And as you do this, something begins to happen. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts soften. Your body begins to release the tension it has been holding for so long. And in that moment, you begin to feel it, the presence of rest settling over you. Now, as July 10th approaches, this invitation into rest becomes even more significant. It is not just about finding moments of calm. It is about stepping into a new way of living. A way where you are no longer driven by fear, no longer controlled by urgency, no longer overwhelmed by the constant need to fix everything at once. Instead, you begin to move from a place of peace. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to trust instead of worry. You begin to walk forward with a quiet confidence that does not depend on everything being perfect. And this is where true strength is found. Not in constant effort, not in endless striving, but in the ability to remain steady, even when things around you are still unfolding. This is the rest you are being invited into. A rest that does not remove you from your life, but transforms how you experience it. A rest that does not isolate you, but connects you more deeply to the presence that has been guiding you all along. So, as you continue forward, allow yourself to enter this place more fully. Let go of what you have been holding too tightly. Release the need to control what is not yours to carry, and step into the stillness that is waiting for you. Because in that stillness, you will discover something you may have forgotten: that you are safe, that you are covered, and that you are no longer walking alone. There are signs that begin to appear when you are truly under divine protection, and many of them are so subtle that you may have already experienced them without fully recognizing what they mean. These signs do not always come in dramatic ways. They do not always announce themselves loudly. Instead, they reveal themselves quietly, consistently, almost gently, like a whisper of reassurance that follows you through your day. One of the first signs is a shift in how situations affect you. Things that once overwhelmed you begin to lose their intensity. You may still face challenges, but they no longer carry the same emotional weight. Where you once felt panic, you now feel a pause. Where you once reacted quickly, you now find yourself responding with calm. This is not slucha katkian or este yuri. This is protection at work within you. Another sign is the way certain things begin to fall away from your life. Connections that were draining, patterns that were holding you back, habits that kept you in cycles of stress. Slowly, and sometimes unexpectedly, they begin to lose their place. It may feel confusing at first. You may even question why things are changing. But what is really happening is this: what cannot exist in the presence of your covering begins to move out of alignment. And this is not loss. This is refinement. Because divine protection does not just shield you from harm, it also removes what does not belong in your path moving forward. You may also notice moments of unexpected favor, situations resolving in ways you did not plan, opportunities appearing at just the right time, delays that once frustrated you revealing themselves as hidden blessings. These are not coincidences. They are signs that something greater is guiding your steps, arranging things in ways you could not have orchestrated on your own. And then there is the most powerful sign of all: an unexplainable sense of peace. Not the kind that depends on everything going right, but a deeper peace that remains even when things are still uncertain. A peace that steadies you, grounds you, reminds you that no matter what is happening around you, you are not exposed, you are not vulnerable, you are not alone. This peace becomes your confirmation. Because protection is not always about what you can see, it is about what you can feel. Now here is something that will deepen your understanding even further. Sometimes, divine protection shows up as redirection. You may have experienced moments where something did not work out the way you expected. Doors that closed, plans that changed, paths that seemed right but suddenly became blocked. And at the time, it may have felt disappointing, even frustrating. But what if those moments were not setbacks? What if they were safeguards? What if what you thought you lost was actually something that was not meant to go with you into the place you are being led? This is how protection works at a higher level. It does not always explain itself in the moment. It does not always make sense right away. But over time, you begin to see the pattern. You begin to realize that every redirection carried purpose. Every delay carried wisdom. Every closed door was leading you toward something better aligned with your path. And as this awareness grows, your trust begins to deepen. You stop questioning every shift. You stop resisting every change. You begin to move with a quiet confidence, knowing that even when you do not understand everything, you are still being guided. Now, as July 10th approaches, these signs may begin to intensify. You may feel a stronger sense of clarity. You may notice a deeper level of peace settling within you. You may see things aligning in ways that feel almost too precise to be random. Do not ignore these moments. Do not dismiss them as coincidence. These are confirmations that you are stepping fully into the covering that has been prepared for you. And the more you recognize these signs, the more your awareness grows. The more your awareness grows, the stronger your connection becomes. And the stronger your connection becomes, the more you begin to live from a place of certainty instead of fear. So pay attention to what is happening around you. Notice the shifts. Acknowledge the changes. Receive the peace that is being placed within you. Because these are not ordinary experiences. They are evidence. Evidence that you are protected. Evidence that you are being guided. Evidence that you are already standing in the place that fear can no longer reach. There comes a point where everything you have been experiencing begins to come together, not as scattered moments, not as isolated signs, but as a clear path forward. And this is where you now stand. Not at the beginning, not in confusion, but at a place where you are ready to move differently, to live differently, to walk forward without the weight that once held you back. Walking without fear does not mean that challenges will never appear again. It does not mean that uncertainty will completely disappear from your life. What it means is that those things no longer control you. They no longer decide how you respond, how you feel, or what direction you take. Because something within you has changed. You are no longer standing in the same place you were before. You are no longer reacting from the same mindset. You have stepped into an awareness that has shifted your foundation, and from that foundation, everything begins to look different. You begin to see challenges as temporary, not permanent. You begin to see delays as redirection, not rejection. You begin to see uncertainty as space for something greater to unfold, not something to fear. And this is where your strength becomes evident, not in how much you can control, but in how deeply you can trust. Now listen carefully, because this is where many people hesitate. They experience this shift, they feel this peace, they begin to walk in this new awareness, but then something unexpected happens. A situation arises that feels familiar, a moment that reminds them of how things used to be. And for a brief second, the old patterns try to return. The fear tries to whisper again. The doubt tries to question again. The tension tries to rise again. But this time, something is different. This time, you recognize it. You see it for what it is, not as truth, not as something you must accept, but as something that no longer belongs to you. And in that recognition, you make a choice. You do not go back. You do not give it the same attention. You do not allow it to take the same space. You remain where you are, grounded, steady, protected. And this is what it means to truly walk forward without fear. It is not about never hearing the whispers again. It is about no longer responding to them in the same way. It is about knowing where you stand. Now, as you move beyond July 10th, this way of living becomes your new normal. You will find yourself making decisions with more clarity. You will notice that you are not as easily shaken. You will feel a quiet confidence guiding your steps, even when you do not have all the answers. And this confidence does not come from you alone. It comes from the covering you are under. It comes from the protection that surrounds you. It comes from the presence that has been walking with you every step of the way. And as this continues, you will begin to influence the world around you in ways you may not even realize. Others will notice the change in you. They will see the calm in your presence. They will feel the difference in how you respond to situations. and without you needing to explain anything, they will begin to sense that something about you is different. That difference is not incident. It is the result of you choosing to step into what was offered to you. It is the result of you responding to the invitation. And now, you are living in the outcome of that decision. So as you continue forward, hold on to this awareness. Do not let temporary moments pull you back into old patterns. Do not allow familiar fears to convince you that nothing has changed. Because everything has changed. You are no longer standing in the same place. You are no longer carrying the same weight. You are no longer walking without covering. You are moving forward with clarity, with protection, with peace. And most importantly, you are moving forward knowing that no matter what comes, you are not facing it alone. This is your new path. This is your new way of living. And there is no need to look back. Beloved soul, you have come to the end of this journey, but what is unfolding in your life is only just beginning. What you have heard, what you have felt, what has been stirring within you, it was never incident. It was a call, a divine invitation that has been extended to you with purpose, with precision, and with deep intention. And now, as July 10th stands before you, you are no longer the same person who first began listening. Something within you has shifted. You are no longer carrying fear in the same way. You are no longer overwhelmed by the same thoughts. You are no longer standing in uncertainty without direction. You have been led into awareness. You have been drawn into protection. You have been invited into the shadow of the Almighty, a place where no fear can reach you, where no whisper can overpower the truth, where no darkness can stand against the covering that surrounds you. And now, all that remains is for you to rest in it, not for a moment, not temporarily, but fully. Let your mind settle. Let your heart become still. Let every part of you release what it has been holding. Because you are safe here. You are covered here. You are not exposed to the things that once tried to shake you. This is your place of peace. And as you move forward from this moment, carry this truth with you, not as something you remember occasionally, but as something you live in daily. When challenges arise, return to this place. When thoughts begin to race, return to this stillness. When fear tries to whisper, return to the covering you now understand. Because it has not left you, it will not leave you. It remains constant, steady, unchanging. And even in moments where you may feel uncertain again, remember this: you now know the way back. You now recognize the difference between fear and peace. You now understand that you are never alone, and that understanding will guide you, protect you, and strengthen you in ways you cannot yet fully see. So take a deep breath and receive what has been given to you. Receive the peace. Receive the protection. Receive the rest. Type "I dwell in divine peace" in the comments if you are stepping fully into this covering. Blessing code 1441 is now released over your life, sealing you in peace, surrounding you with protection, and anchoring you in unshakable rest. And as this peace settles over you, hear this final truth: this message was never meant to stop with you. There are souls still surrounded by noise, still overwhelmed by fear, still searching for the same refuge that has just been opened to you. When you choose to give, you are not supporting a channel, you are opening a door for someone else to step into the same shadow of protection. The Lord declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days, and this is your moment to release what has been placed in your hand." I feel called to act now, to become a vessel through which this message reaches those who are still waiting. The PayPal link is placed in the description, and the QR code is right before you as a point of obedience. Do not delay what your spirit is urging you to do. As you sow into this mission, may peace multiply over your life, may protection increase around you, and may every seed return to you as a harvest of divine covering. Step forward and give now.